Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Property AI Report. I'm your host, Mal McCallion, here to bring you this week's summary of all things property and AI technology, including the potential death of search, the definite death of Skype, and are we really going to see the end to CRM systems as well? Anyway, we will move quickly through these stories, hopefully limiting it to about 20 minutes or so. So let us, without further ado, get stuck in. All right, so our first story is all about search and the impact that AI is having upon it. Now, regular listeners will know that I am very focused around how people are seeking to discover their next property. Now, we've spoken a number of times about Rightmove and about search engine optimization on Google and what's happening with that. Where we are at the moment is that essentially AI is killing clicks. All right, so what you will find when you go onto Google right now is that the AI overviews, which is a summary essentially of all of the results further down the page, the natural search results, is pretty much dominating your entire phone screen now. So it's very difficult to get any deeper. And what's happening this week is that Google has now announced the introduction of what it's calling AI mode. So Google AI mode essentially means that almost the end of those natural search links. Okay, so organic search engine optimization, those things will become a thing of the past as Google rolls out this AI mode. Now, the reason that they are so focused on this is really around the fact that they can see that they're being a little bit blindsided by the likes of ChatGPT and its search, by Perplexity and its search functionality. And Google is essentially nothing if not the place that one goes when one wants to find out anything at all about pretty much anything at all on the internet, right? That there is this new technology that is here. I say new technology, it's been here for 2.5 years now, and that it is something that could usurp Google's dominant position in essentially search and discovery, is driving it to do some pretty radical things, actually, and things that, you know, perhaps in a less speedy atmosphere, a less kind of revolutionary atmosphere, they might take a downside longer to actually get to. But powered by the competition from the likes of ChatGPT, even the likes of Grok now, which is Elon Musk's Twitter/X version of a large language model, an AI, it's on the defensive, and it is trying Google to make sure that it gets a little bit ahead of the curve, to the point that actually it's almost cannibalizing its own market. If I cannot get my adverts served because there is an AI box in the way that summarizes something that doesn't point to my site. For example, I am looking for a property and I put in a broad 3-bedroom property, this value, then Google AI just returns a few examples of those properties. Then perhaps I'm not going to go to Rightmove. Perhaps I'm not going to go to somewhere else. Perhaps I'm just going to go direct to the agent website. So it's a real challenge for Google to square the circle of where's it going to get its revenue from, because Google Ads have powered its incredible value creation and revenue streams for nigh on 30 years now. And it is having to take a really quite radical view of how it's going to make it essentially through the next 30 years, or fend off other potential dominant technology players such as ChatGPT or OpenAI along the way. So it's going to be some really big changes for all of us in terms of how do we get our websites to continue to have that organic traffic. Reports are saying that 35-40% of traffic is down as a result of these AI overviews, and that might, under normal circumstances, cause Google to pause a little bit perhaps, but actually no, they are going deeper into this, and actually the word is almost removing the organic search results full stop. What that also then presents is the potential that essentially they're going to have adverts buried within the AI results. Okay, so they have sources down on the right-hand side. Again, you may have seen them in the AI overviews. Now, how many of those are sponsored? How do we know that the search results are not corrupted essentially by the person that's spending the most money with Google? And I think that's going to be perhaps the next big battle, is transparency. If I am typing in a particular search function or search query, and it brings back a summary in AI and then a list of sources on the right-hand side. How do I know that those are the sources that I would have picked had I been able to get access to the old generic organic search results? Or are they just essentially whoever pays the most will get to the top of the AI results into the actual panel itself, which will create a very self-perpetuating loop of the people with most money will be able to buy their way into that particular panel, and then they will continue to get the most visits and therefore the most money, and then that circle will essentially just continue in ever decreasing rotations. So I think it's going to be really interesting, but I think it's also an opportunity, right? Consumers aren't stupid, and in the end, if you are constantly just faced with the big corporates, and perhaps you might include the big portals in that if you're looking for property, and you're not able to go off and find anything else quite interesting, then that I think is going to give an opportunity to those who will make a virtue of the fact that these are non-commercially driven search results, or they are marked as commercially driven search results. So you can actually filter them out, or you can get rid of them, or you can ignore them. And those are the things that or those websites, those locations, those sources of information, I think are going to become far more interesting. You've got the likes of, at this point, you've got the likes of Jitty, for example, who are doing some amazing things in terms of search. You've got a bunch of other technologies that are coming through. So we've spoken last week and before about deep research from OpenAI, and there's a new one as well called, it's come out this week, which looks really interesting. It's a Chinese model again. They seem to have done some very cool stuff, and they actually have this whole demonstration where you can go in, you can put in your salary, you can put in that you want to find an area, you've got two kids who are this age and this age, you want to find an area that's safe for them and whatever else you want to think about. And it will go away and do a proper research job on areas of the country or your location where these things are best suited for you. And then you will be able to see the properties that it serves up that are within your price criteria based on your income, etc. So it's doing the whole job for you, right? Instead of you having to think, what is my budget, and then go and do some searches on the back of that, you basically just splurge your entire information about yourself and dreams and desires, and it will come back with a really well thought out series of answers to that. And it will go throughout the whole internet to find it as well. So that's Manus AI. It is from Chinese labs, and this one I think is called Manus Neurodynamica. But yes, again, it's going to be an interesting, this is just the next stage, right? It's the 10th of March right now today. There will be another one to 725 along in the next couple of months that will do that, but even better and even quicker and even shinier, and this one will have actual images delivered back to you as well. So it's not going to stand still, and I just think that this battle for search supremacy, for discovery supremacy, is only just getting started. And I also note that this week Rightmove has awarded some £2 million worth of share options to its top two, its CEO and CFO, to see if they can presumably get the share price even higher over the coming years in the teeth of the gale that is AI. So those guys are clearly incentivized to take this head on. They are recruiting technologists at a rate of knots. They are whacking their prices up even further so they can basically afford to do whatever they like. But I think that the time where you had to go to Rightmove to find this information is coming to an end. And I think that will be for innovation within the industry here in the UK, for the wallets of estate and lettings agents out there. It will be a joyous day when that moment happens. And obviously it's something that I think that those of us that have been trying to build innovative products and services over many years and have run up against the fact that agents aren't able to afford many of them because they're paying so much to Rightmove, who then gives it all to their shareholders or their CEO and CFO, as they seem to be doing right now. That is going to be good for those of us in the innovation space in the industry as well. So yes, plenty going on, plenty to keep in touch with. And obviously, as ever, we will here at the Property AI Report keep you all up to date with everything that goes on there. All right, talking about keeping up to date with everything that's going on, Operator from OpenAI has basically said that they are considering releasing a $20,000 a year AI agents, so agentic AI that basically you can tell to do whatever you like. Now, the 20,000 one they are saying is going to be obviously super sophisticated and be much better than any human you can get for that sort of cash. But they're also what they're probably doing is they're trailing the £20,000, $20,000 one, so that when they actually release a number of $2,000 ones, people will go, oh, that's actually quite a bargain, and buy those instead. It's going to be, so whatever they're developing is going to use this technology that I just mentioned called Operator, which essentially allows AI agents, agentic AI, not AI estate agents, AI that has agency, so the ability to do stuff itself. With agentic AI, you basically give it a task and it will go off and find out how to do it however it likes. So you can just leave it running. So, and it will open up browsers, it will research the web, and it will come back with things that you want it to do. It can do things like, and this is the kind of perpetual example that everyone always gives, which is, can it book a holiday for me, or can it book a restaurant for me, or something like that. So those things are going to be happening as we at increasing speed, I think. And with the launch of ChatGPT 5, which is going to come out probably in the next 6 weeks or so, I imagine there's going to be some significant advances in reasoning and agentic capacity or capability that OpenAI is going to be able to produce. This is why I'm really fascinated about how this might play out, particularly in the data sphere. At the moment, currently, for agencies, estate agencies, lettings agencies, what everybody uses is CRM systems. And for better or worse, some of them have really super funky UX, user experience, front ends. Some of them are really old and a little bit stale, let's call it, a little bit tired. And these ones have historically been replaced, purged over time, because essentially the humans that are looking at them can't see past some of the really clunky graphics, and also the new capabilities of these different CRMs, the likes of Street, etc., Greenhouse, really impressive pieces of kit. Yes, it is interesting to consider what might happen then if you have AI agents tapping these buttons rather than humans. So I think as we look across the next sort of couple of years, I think AI agents are going to be plugging into these data sources, these CRM systems, and manipulating them without the need of humans to do. And I think that creates an interesting question around whatever CRM system is currently being used right now, and whether that is, if AI can just plug straight into, I don't know, let's call it creaky old Repit, bless it, then what does that mean for some of the newer stuff? Or what do the newer ones have to do in order to really impress with their technological capabilities? And obviously a lot of these new ones that are doing super well, really impressive, but it is just a very valid question, I think, right now, as to whether the user experience side of things, the user interface, is going to be as important as some of the ability of these systems to serve up the right data at the right time and be manipulated by AI. Really interesting time, I think, for the CRM systems as well. And yes, whether anybody's going to really pay 2,000 for some of these AI agents from OpenAI to go and dive into your CRM system and mess about with it, I think remains to be seen. But yes, these are the things that are coming down the track, and these are things that are going to be playing out in front of our eyes, basically. All right, on to our third story this week, which is all about the RICS AI standards consultation. So the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors has initiated a public consultation on its new responsible use of AI. Okay, so that's what it's trying to create, is just this idea of how, if you are a member of the esteemed RICS, then you can use AI. So it's a consultation is going on until the end of April this year. It's going to look at things like the scope of a proposed standard, so governance, risk management, procurement, due diligence, etc., and also still trying to keep that humanity in there, professional judgment and accountability, so that it doesn't all become smothered by the capability of AI, which again, as we're already seeing, is significant, and it will grow even more significant in the coming months and years. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where they end up, really. The RICS is many things, but a funky cutting edge tech business is not perhaps what it is, but it's diving in, it's actually sitting there and going, this is important enough for us to try and work out what our thoughts should be around it. And it's going to be interesting to see what it comes out with in the end. So that's the RICS consultation taking place over the next couple of months, and that will be reporting, I'm sure, in the summer sometime. All right, those are our three main stories this week. We are now going to move into our quick fire round. And just to start, does anybody remember this noise? That, for those who are way too young, that noise was Skype. So Skype was launched in 2003, before many of you were born, I'm sure. And basically, it just provided, for those of us that were around, it was amazing because up to this point, you basically had always had to use a phone. And this was before smartphones as well, by the way. And you had to pay for every phone call. Every minute of every phone call was costed you. Phoning people up, that there wasn't things like electronic means of communication, texting, things like that just weren't a thing. I think we'd only just about got over faxes and been to emails, really. And yes, so then Skype came along and it allowed you to make these phone calls and actually see people over the internet. It was amazing. And so in 2003, it arrived. By 2011, when it was acquired by Microsoft, it was worth $8.5 billion. All right, so a hugely successful business. And then Microsoft got hold of it and basically killed it. I can't even remember the last time I used Skype. It was probably before 2011, actually, because there were all these other ones coming out and all these other ways of communicating, and FaceTime and things like that were the thing by then as well. Yes, it tried to make it or to continue its success. Essentially, it just tipped it over a cliff. Microsoft then launched Teams in 2017, which through the pandemic then became quite popular. So yeah, it's a sad day. Because one of the old stalwarts of the early internet is dying, and on May the 5th it will finally have died this year. But yeah, look, it was a big thing at the time, and yeah, just like many big things, it's gone now. So yeah, R.I.P. Skype. All right, our next quick fire story is about schools and schools actually embracing AI finally and getting through some of the doom and gloom. So some really important things happening here in schools. Some might say it's about time that schools were allowed to experiment with AI. I've got kids, and it is almost like this kind of taboo that they're going to, the younger one is going to GCSEs right now, and the old one just finished his A levels. And yeah, the fact that AI has been around for a couple of years is nobody's allowed to mention it, and everybody's just no, I'm sure that it's not being used anywhere. No, but here are some schools that are embracing it, and they are integrating AI into the curriculum. So there's a school, Willowdown Primary in Somerset, which is using AI to transform their students' descriptive writing into images. Okay, so helping them to visualize what they're writing about, and it just really helps them to articulate better and create word pictures, and then see those word pictures come to life via AI, so that they can actually see that just how important it is to use language to formulate images and so on. There's also another one that's using a virtual Charles Darwin to deepen their understanding of evolution. And again, it's a really powerful way of, if you can chat to Charles Darwin or chat to other historical figures about events or theories, then that's really strong as well. There's an emphasis on digital literacy, essentially trying to help younger students, so these are year sevens, talking about responsible use of AI, critical thinking regarding the technology. These are the skills that they're going to need. These guys are 11, 12, something like that. And by the time they are 18, AI is going to be everywhere. So without a fundamental basis of understanding of what AI can do, then essentially we're just throwing them out into the world to deal with some technology that is just going to, it's going to mean that they are going to struggle. So this is really powerful. And there's a lot of additional stuff that I think can be done in schools as well. Bravo to all those that are embracing it and pushing it out. And yes, long may that continue and grow. All right, next story in our quickfire is Netflix AI has been upscaling some 1980s sitcoms, all right, using AI. So basically getting these really old boxy kind of 4:3 format screen sitcoms and using AI to basically upscale them to try and make them a bit more HD. It is not going well. The one that they've decided to choose is called A Different World, which is a spin-off of The Cosby Show, which obviously is has its own problematic undertones anyway. But yeah, but essentially this was much loved by many people, and over in the States particularly. And it's been cropped to the more standard widescreen 16:19 aspect ratio. And essentially what they've then done is they've tried to fill in the pixels using AI's kind of guesstimate of what those pixels should be, leading to some weird words. AI doesn't do image words very well. It's got pixelated faces. Again, if you work with AI a lot, hands can be quite difficult as well. So yeah, apparently it's just really awful. But it's been discovered. I imagine what they're doing is that they're testing it right on some random old sitcoms just to see if they can essentially, I imagine, bring to life pretty much everything that's ever been televised going back to the dawn of time, and see if they can't make that suitably compelling on Netflix, widescreen, etc. And then they can go around hoovering up some actually really good stuff. But it's just another example of how businesses are trying to use AI, and for that, I applaud them. However, it sounds like they've not done a very good QA, quality assurance, on this particular project, and they've spun it out, thrown it out onto Netflix, and people are feeling pretty queasy about the whole thing. But yes, no doubt going forwards, we will see, I don't know, the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, 1952, or 1953, one or the other. I wasn't around then. It will no doubt very shortly be in gorgeous colour and surround sound and high screen, high imagery, high resonant images that are going to be super for putting up on the IMAX and certainly on your big, massive digital TV that you've got in your living room. So that's all happening around us in the world of TV and entertainment. Back into the world of property for our next story, and this is about 3D homes, so 3D printing of homes. This has been something that has been long trailed, frequently desired, and yet really not got to the point of having wide scale adoption. Now, the idea is amazing. With 3D printing, you can basically print a 4-bedroom property in 5 weeks. So it takes 3 weeks to print it and then 2 weeks to do the finishing touches. That is instead of between 6 to 12 months. So 5 weeks versus 26 to 52 weeks. So huge savings. So yeah, so this is being tried out now over in Australia, and obviously it's going to be, if we are over here in the UK, we're trying to get 1.5 million properties built in the next, I think it's 4 years now, isn't it? Which has never been done before. Then some new technology is going to have to help. And maybe even if we can't get the whole property 3D printed, then maybe there's going to be an opportunity to do at least little bits of it, little parts of it. So those are 3D homes, again, still coming to a greenbelt field near you soon, no doubt. Our next quick fire story is all about consciousness. All right, there is a theory that AI will become suitably developed in the relatively short, that it will actually develop its own consciousness and then feel pain and suffering. All right, so if you are of a mind to shout at your Alexa or your ChatGPT or swear at it, or not even say please and thank you, come on. I think what you really need to do is start thinking about assessing your life and thinking about what's going to happen when the robots get cross and sad, because they are unlikely to take kindly to being kicked, shouted at, etc. Just words of warning out there. There is very, very real theories around AI consciousness is going to be a thing, and we're going to have to be nice. All right, stop booting your Roomba around the room and treat it with just a little bit more respect. Okay. All right, those are our quick fire stories for this week. Finally, as ever, we're going to have our tool of the week. This week's tool of the week is called Reclaim AI, and it was taken over by Dropbox actually recently. So it's called Reclaim AI, and it's just a really good productivity tool. Okay, what it can do is it will help you with things like time blocking for viewings and appointments. Right, so it will help you to schedule viewings. It will prevent double bookings, ensure optimal time allocation. Right, so you can actually do some really funky stuff around logistics and making sure that you've got enough time between those viewings. It also links together personal and work calendars really effectively and can help you to then recommend, or it can then recommend when there are optimal times for various tasks, etc. And it looks at your kind of priority management. It can set, or you can set priority levels for tasks like lead follow-ups, contract preparation, marketing new listings, etc. And the AI will find the best time slots to complete these tasks around your existing appointments and so on. So it's just a really neat way of using AI to organize your diaries and it's out there now, and it's really helping. We're using it to organize a lot of our kind of demos and things like that, and it's really good. So that's Reclaim AI. It is a productivity tool very much focused around the calendar side. Alrighty, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for being with us on the Property AI Report. My name is Mal McCallion. I'll be back again next week with even more stories and news and features all about property and AI, where they intersect. Until then, have great weeks, and I will see you in a few days. All the best. Take care. Bye.